Hello everybody, how's it going? You know, good to see everybody. Got through this hurricane. We dodged a bullet today. You know, unfortunately we didn't dodge bullets these past couple months, but we dodged a bullet today with this category 4 hurricane, Hurricane Hector. But you know, we are here at the hub because we'll be opening on August 13th. I think it's a Monday. Just upgrading stuff here and getting stuff ready. And some of the things that is happening today, we got Jay Walker excavation and bulldozing, and also cinder hauling. We're gonna be doing that, spreading cinder here. We're gonna do some updates on the lava, and there's some interesting updates that is happening with the eruption. And you know, the thing about it is, it's not done yet. The eruption is still going on. It's still going. It's not as going strong as what was before, but there is still lava in Leilani Estate still yet, and also lava entering the ocean. We got word that lava is still entering the ocean, and I'll be going out in the morning on a lava boat tour, and we can go from there on the recent updates. But I'm gonna go back to work, and here is Brother Phil.
How's everybody?
And Brother John. Aloha. All right, Brother Phil.
All right. I'll take over the broadcast here. Brother Ikaika is gonna go man the bobcat and spread out some cinder. Sorry guys, phone call coming in. Yeah, he's gonna spread the cinder to make the hub nice again. Like you said, we're reopening on Monday. It's gonna be Mondays and Fridays, so that's coming up Monday, then that coming up Friday afterwards. So yeah, we're just getting the place nice. We rode out what little non-storm there was here. I don't think it even got windy over here in Pahoa. It was, you know, we got a couple of rain bands come through, but no, nothing big. And weather now is pretty nice. You guys, view of the sky there. We got some clouds, but you know, some blue sky over there. We got some sun shining, nice little breeze blowing. So that's all good. And when we got the camera turned this way, I think we're looking at the volcano. I think John and I are following the most right now is the tilt plot.
The fuzzy tilt plot.
The fuzzy tilt plot, yeah. So there it is. You know, just once again, if you guys haven't caught our little recap, the scale is a lot less than before. We're talking about a scale of about ±3. Oh, hold on, let's get our pointers out here. There we go, we got a pointer. All right. So thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah, for the pointer. Sorry I got your name wrong. I was got so many messages, I got confused. My apologies. So once again, thanks to Sarah for the pointers. But yeah, so our scale is from about 3 plus and minus going down compared to before. Our scale was about 140 going up and down, right? So it's a lot lower. Holy crap! Ikaika's got a lot of voicemails. All right. What you guys can see is this kind of pattern within the small scale of like a little bit of deflation, a little bit of inflation, a little bit of deflation. But within that pattern, there's a little bit less, a little bit more, and that kind of corresponds to what we're seeing at Pu'o'o, which is also a general trend of deflation, kind of going down. And the interesting thing is we have an opposite pattern. Like, you know, it seems like when lava is leaving Halemaumau more quickly, then it's actually filling Pu'o'o a little more. And when it's filling Halemaumau, then it's leaving Pu'o'o. So it seems like it's, you know, maybe something is trying to move from the summit to Pu'o'o, but it's not always able to do so. So when it can move there, areas like this where it's leaving Halemaumau, then we see that Pu'o'o is actually almost stabilizing. The amount of lava coming in is matching the amount getting out in an area like that. And then, you know, when we actually have lava getting stuck in Halemaumau, then the lava in Pu'o'o is kind of draining out, kind of thing. That looks like what we're seeing. You know, it's hard to exactly say, but that's kind of what's going on here. At the last little time that happened just recently, we actually had a very slight increase. You know, it's the first time we've actually seen any even bare little increase coming in a signal to tilt. But that kind of tells us that, you know, maybe at times we're actually matching the amount of lava coming in and going out. So you know, maybe we can talk some big picture implications, John. You know, probably number one is that it's connected, right? The lava's connected from the summit through the rift zone still. That seems like it's true right now. And what do you think about that?
Yeah, that it indicates there's some kind of relationship between the summit and Pu'uo'o at least, and the way that adds up, it looks like you know, it gets held up in the summit at least slightly, and as it's held up in the summit, we see the inflation happen at Pu'uo'o and vice versa. When it's let out of the summit, it inflates at Pu'uo'o a little bit, and so we're inferring that relationship from the tiny change on the graph, you know, so it's hard to say how significant it will become, but it's a theory that adds up.
Yeah, and the timing
is synchronized in that right way, or offset just so that one is going up while the other is going down. So, but the missing piece of information is we don't have any data about the deformation, the tilt down here in the lower east rift zone down at Leilani. So that's a piece of evidence Philip and I wish that we had, and we could make a better educated guess about what this relationship is, because if we had the information on whether or not the Leilani area or the area around the fissures or even above Highway 130 were deflating or inflating or having any change at all, that might help us make a better guess about what might be happening. But overall, we see there is still a relationship, and our best idea is that, you know, the system is still open. There's still definitely the possibility of magma passing through those along that route.
Yeah. So yeah, if we did have that station to look at, what we'd be looking at is, you know, if any of that pressure that's coming down from Halemaumau is building up at Fissure 8. And, you know, according to USGS reports, you know, what they've said is that there isn't. Dropping some cinder here for us.
Just right. Now, it's worth...
Just like that, we're multitasking.
Multitasking. It's worth mentioning, you know, that pile of cinder that just got dropped off came in a big dump truck, and our lava flow from Fissure 8 was making like 20 dump trucks worth of black sand every minute that it was going in the ocean. Like, it's amazing how much energy it takes to spread out this much cinder compared to how much the volcano makes in a minute. Fun fact.
Yeah. So it's getting kind of loud here, obviously. We might have to relocate possibly. So, well, yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. There's a late night at the hub here by the crew, so let's see, where are we going to go? We're going to go on a...
Go over in the sunny over there.
Yeah, let's go over here.
Okay.
All right, let's bear with us, you guys. We're just going to do a quick little move here. A little farther away from the action here. A little more in the sunshine. Let's see if we can maybe leave that there. So can you leave that there? It might help with the glare. Maybe not. All right, it might have some glare. Well, we'll have to just...
Always an adventure.
Well, here we go. Here we go. Let's put it this way. All right, guys, we're just rolling with the punches here. I might put face up this way, John, because I'm trying to get the screen so I can see it. But I don't know if you guys can see what's going on. Maybe. Here, I know what I'll do. I'll put it down here on the floor. Or yeah, maybe open this.
Does it fit on there?
I think it will. Oh.
Bear with us, people.
All right, that might...
Never a dull moment at the hub.
No, it's not quite. Here, let's put it on here.
Okay.
That's not terrible.
Not terrible.
All right, so well, we'll yeah, we'll see what we get. We're doing what we can do here, guys. So, anyways, yeah. So what we're talking about was how we'd like to know what's going on down here in Leilani as far as the actual tilt of the ground. According to what USGS has said, there is no change in the ground information out here. That implies that If we could see the tilt, we basically see it flat, not changing, either increasing or decreasing. And if that's the case, that also implies having kind of an open pipe from the summit down here, and it's just a matter of like what's getting in isn't enough to come out the other side very well, right? So first let's finish off the thought as far as, you know, well, okay, let's back up and talk about context of this eruption, the amount of lava that came out over the history of this volcano. So basically the last summit collapse was around 1500 AD, right? So we're about 500 years ago. And at that point in time, we had that big caldera that was a big hole in the ground with up to 4 different ponds of water in it, so it was basically mostly collapsed. So since then, the caldera has been refilling kind of at a slow trickle. We estimate that the amount of lava coming in during the Pu'o'o era was something in the order of 0.3 million cubic meters a day, more or less. So that slow trickle over those 500 years was able to kind of fill up the caldera as well as feed all the other eruptions that kind of came out during that entire time, you know, all that stuff that's going on there. So what just happened over the last 3 months was the emptying of that 500 years of buildup of lava inside of the volcano. So it seems to me that that amount of lava that's come out is basically spent, right? We don't have that big reservoir supply built up, that big tank to feed that amount of lava coming out of the ground anymore. So everyone's kind of wondering if this eruption is really over, and you know, that's really hard to say. But what seems more likely is that the amount of lava coming out of the ground like it was before, that part of it is probably over, because we don't have that huge caldera full of lava to drive that amount of flow out of the ground at the fissure anymore. So before, we basically had the lava draining from the summit combined with that trickle of lava coming into the volcano, and the trickle was so much smaller with the amount of lava draining from the summit that it basically didn't matter. And now that that big summit reservoir is emptied, now we have to deal with the trickle. Now the trickle is suddenly important. Like, is that 0.3 million cubic meters per day coming in enough to actually keep the pipeline open from the summit all the way down here to the fissure? Or is it the fact that we've lost so much of it? Because, you know, to kind of give you guys a reminder, we're at more or less than a ballpark of 15 million cubic meters a day for the fissure rate. So we were talking about like something like 5% of the volume, more or less, you know, is actually coming through. So is that 5%? You know, I'm imagining something like a giant fire hose, right? It was like full to bursting, right? And the thing was pumping, and then now we turned off that main source of pressure, but we still got a little bit of trickle going through there. But as that hose is kind of emptying and collapsing, does that little trickle have enough force to push its way through the hose that's kind of collapsing around it? The force of the hose, the weight of the hose itself that's kind of trying to pinch down and collapse? Is that 0.3 enough to keep that open? Or is that hose collapsing going to pinch off that supply and allow it to build back up until it does build enough pressure to actually push back through? That's kind of the big question to us now. So to kind of recap, like, you know, the huge, you know, like the surges, like all the big flow coming out, like, you know, huge flows. To me, like that part of it, driven by the summit caldera in particular, that part of it seems to be over to me. And now it's a question of what comes next. You know, does that slow trickle persist through the pipeline and keep fissure rate open and bubbling for some time? And if that's the case, then we should expect the pressure that's feeding in the trickle from below to eventually start building up the pressure within the rift zone. There's still a lot of space in there to kind of refill before lava can actually needs to come out of the ground of fissure rate and actually come out and flow out of the hole. It can kind of keep going through there, filling that spot underground, using fissure 8 as a chimney to bubble out its gas, Pu'o'o to some degree also, although the amounts of gas there have dropped significantly. So that was probably a short-term, one-time thing, I believe, even though there's going to be some constant degassing there for a while. So that's basically it, you know. And if we had that, to kind of bring it back to what we were saying before, if we had that plot from down here in the lower east rift zone, and we could say, okay, well, the thing was deflating now, and now it's leveled off deflating, and then we could say, okay, well, that looks like the lava pressure has worked its way down to the rift zone, and it's refilling and pressurizing. So in the absence of that, we will look at the next tilt meter we have, which is in the Volcanic area. And here, I'll turn the camera around and let John point out what's going on here. And
So
hopefully I can deal with the glare here. Let's see.
Can they see it?
I hope so.
All right.
It's pretty good.
Well, yeah, this instrument is in Volcanic, which is just down rift from Pu'uo'o, so between Highway 130 and Pu'uo'o, roughly, geographically, and so that's important. We were seeing the signature of those CE events, our collapse events, were these blue lines here just ringing through the mountain, and here we are flatlined again. But we can see on this graph, which has a big scale again, that it's not really noticeable. It's basically flatline, but if anything, it's slightly deflating. And it almost looks like it came up and then down again, just slightly by 1 pixel. And so that's consistent with the idea of the magma is still moving from the summit region past Pu'uo'o and potentially on down to where we are here in the Lower East Rift.
Yeah, so that's basically a signal that may indicate that the lava is still coming in, and that's kind of what we're all looking for, is that kind of sign, like, you know, is this thing really over? And that's where we're getting off and saying that we have this trickle still coming through the system, right? It's kind of the plot from here, the plot from what we showed you guys just a few minutes ago, and kind of the story we're kind of trying to put together here as far as the amount of lava coming from the summit coming down.
Whoops, where you get to the first one.
The first one?
Yeah.
This one.
This one.
Yeah.
So the other thing that we're seeing right now that is interesting, we don't know exactly what to make of it. As we pointed out before, the amplitude of this vibration, the fuzziness of this is really interesting. And we mentioned in different conversations that this could be our harmonic tremor, which is moving gas and magma underground. But see, the problem is this graph is about tilt. It's about measuring actual ground movement. So something's going on there that overall we're deflating coming down, but there's some kind of vibration that's actually wiggling and moving the land where the sensor is, which is on the east part of the caldera, right? Mm-hmm. So this is really interesting because even though, you know, we're dealing really interesting.
Yeah. We just, I don't want to interrupt you, we just cut out to low network and back to connection again. Maybe you mind repeating that last fuzziness thing?
Oh, okay.
Just one more time for those who
Yeah,
those
if
who
you didn't
weren't
hear, what we're trying to point out, you know, is that this fuzziness in our tilt graph is not representing a harmonic tremor like we were initially trying to suggest, because this is not a seismograph readout. This is a measure of the ground moving up and down. And so even though these vibrations are tiny, tiny movements, that instrument is actually measuring the ground moving up and down. So whatever's going on, although we're overall kind of slowly just deflating a tiny amount, there's enough energy in the system that it's vibrating the ground up and down, physically moving it up and down up there. Right. It's hard to know why that is.
So these readings are probably taken, more giving us some idea.
Interesting, yeah. And we can expect that it would still be some kind of movement up there. We just went through this huge series of events, so even though it stopped, and with any luck, we've actually drained the caldera, so like Phil was saying, we might not see the same terrific volume coming out of the Lower East Rift after that. If it continues, hopefully it'll be at a lower level because we don't have the summit involved. but all those pieces move dramatically over a few months, so we can expect there's still going to be some motion and settling up there. It's just really unique signal to see on the tilt. It's just really interesting, the fuzzy tilt meter.
Right. Yeah, so that's fascinating. I think, you know, maybe we've covered the basics of what's going on here. We might have to keep this kind of short because 2 reasons. 1, it's loud here. 2, we're losing connection.
Yeah. 3,
Ikaika's battery is below 10%. So, and we got the glare to deal with also.
Right.
And we got our brother there spurling cinder, so.
But we've got some working ideas going on, and we don't really expect that the eruption is over outright. There's a chance it might continue or pick up again, but what we are able to analyze right now is hopefully we won't see that same type of activity we previously saw when it does pick up again. Is that a good way to kind of boil it down for now? So
yeah, that's you guys now know what we're watching. What we're keeping an eye on is exactly that signal to see how much lava is coming from the summit to the rift zone, whether it's getting blocked or not, whether we can kind of put any handle on the amount of that, how the ground on here is responding to that. In the meantime, you know, we are putting the hub back together. We took it apart because of the hurricane that thankfully missed us to the south.
thank goodness.
It wasn't even windy here. We got a little bit of rain, but nothing really that bad. So now Brother Ikaika is spreading, Brother Andrew out here, or spreading out the cinder to make the ground all nice. We're going to move the containers around, kind of compact everything and keep it a little more organized in here, make it real nice. And we're going to reopen on this coming Monday, August 13th. I believe the hours are going to be 10 to 8. We'll have to check on that with the new page, but I believe that's what was announced before. We will get back to you beyond that. So for now, maybe we can, should we go run down to the brother, or should we let him do his thing and sign off for him, huh?
He's in work mode right now, I think.
All right, so
But,
here, let's see what we can do.
All business.
Let's walk over there and see what we can do. See if we can get a stay classy out of him. Brother Andrew.